So we'll start with our disclaimer. Good afternoon, everyone. We wanted to thank you for joining us. We're Facebook Live here today at the Native Inc. Development Center in Bismarck, North Dakota. I'm Amber Warman. I'll let everybody else introduce themselves, but we do want to give you a disclaimer. This conversation is going to be focused on domestic violence and sexual assault, which can bring up some very hard memories for some of you out there. Maybe you've been through a domestic violence situation before, maybe you've been through a sexual assault or sexual harassment situation before in your lifetime. So we want to remind you that we all smudged and prayed before this session, and we'd like to make sure you guys smudge and pray, but if not, we're smudging and praying for you. So we just thank you for joining us today, and make sure you're doing it in a good way, and we'll remind you at the end again just to not take any of this with you throughout the day, but smudge and pray and do it in a good way, because this conversation is about us doing some preventative work for our community. So with that, I'll let these guys introduce themselves and their jobs here. Corey, you want to start?
Yeah, my name is Corey Annis. I'm a peer support specialist here at Native Inc. And these are my coworkers I've been lucky enough to work with. And Amber Warman's a new domestic violence specialist here. And so I'm just happy to be a part of this conversation here today. And so do what I can to help out and contribute.
Thank you, Corey.
My name is Jasmine Massengill. I'm one of the lead care coordinators here at Native Inc. So I assist with the programs Community Connect and Free Through Recovery, and I have a personal history with domestic violence, so I felt like speaking on this would be helpful for me and for people that have also been through it, so take support.
Thank you guys so much for joining me with this conversation. It can be such a hard topic. This month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so we did some activities. You'll see kind of behind us, we got some jeans here in support. Some of our survivors in the program kind of did some different stuff here. I am a survivor, believe survivors. You can come check us out at Native Inc. and see all of these. They're on display down our hallway. We'll keep them up through the first week of May just so people get the opportunity to see them. So one of the things we do here is cultural activities, which is focused around our grant, the new domestic violence grant that Corey mentioned. So we do crisis intervention, advocacy, assist with protection orders, referrals to legal aid services. We can refer clients to other domestic violence shelters in the area, in North Dakota and outside of the area if need be. We have some assistance with food and other types of, what is the word I'm looking for, like transportation services. We do some personal safety planning to keep people safe, whether they're leaving a domestic violence situation or a sexual assault situation. Kind of just depends on the need. We also can help with, Jasmine runs a women's talking circle on Tuesdays. I run a domestic violence support group on, actually that's a disclosed location, so just make sure you contact us for more information actually on that. But it is weekly, and those also run with cultural activities, and Corey does some stuff with Men's Talking Circle, and also Fatherhood is Sacred in the community. We have sweat lodges available for victims and survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. We have peer support services, which runs through our Community Connect program, and then our cultural youth and family night is also a part of Native Inc., which is usually on Wednesdays at 6 to 8 primarily. So just check our website for more information on those activities. And with that, we pulled Corey in so he could kind of lead us in some discussion, some questions here around sexual assault that me and Jasmine can hopefully just kind of answer for the community. And if you guys have any questions, we'll try to check the website here as questions come in that you might have. So we'll just start with Corey asking us a few questions, and he'll join us in some conversation.
Okay, I guess my first question then we could start with is, can you tell us a little bit about the new domestic violence program at Native Inc.?
So we recently got this grant in November, I believe. Lorraine Davis's foundation is a nonprofit organization here in Bismarck, and she applied for a domestic violence grant, and she was able to receive that grant. And we have just begun opening the doors. We've had a few clients, but we haven't fully been advertising the program as it's still up and coming. So we're creating policies and procedures, getting those intake forms, starting to see clients one-on-one and do some referrals out in the community. We were waiting for some funding to be accessible, and so we're just kind of getting the program off the ground. So we've been doing what we can to service those community members walking in on a daily basis, and kind of partnering with you at Community Connect as we've seen some referrals from some of their clients, and it's just been an ongoing process.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working with domestic violence programs?
Yes, so I've been working in the field of domestic violence for about 10 years. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I've worked at several different locations on different grants supporting victims and survivors. And the reason we say victims and survivors is because we're meeting people at where they're at, right? Some people feel that they are a victim, something just recently happened, maybe it just happened today, so I am still currently going through the situation. Other people have been through it and have taken their experience, and they want to turn that around and share it and be able to be empowered by what happened in that situation. They're more than what happened to them. It was an event in their life, and they have decided that they're moving past it. And we try to help everyone get there, right? But everyone is where they are. We can't force that on anyone. We want to see people where they're at and help them the best that we can with where they are. So domestic violence can happen to anybody. It isn't a male or female thing. It isn't a child or an adult thing. There can be domestic violence in a youth relationship. There can be domestic violence in an elderly relationship. You can be with someone for 2 weeks and there can be domestic violence. You can be with someone for 20 years and there can be domestic violence. So domestic violence happens in multiple forms. There can be physical abuse, sexual abuse, stalking, psychological abuse. So those are some of the things we talk with our clients about when they come in, and then also creating safety plans around those needs. So what does that look like for them? Everyone's safety plan is going to look different. So I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Sorry about that.
Okay. Because it's at Native Inc., I think maybe a common misconception is that it's only for Native Americans. Is it open to all?
No, the program is open to all those people seeking cultural activities and support. We are a Native American-led community here, so a lot of our focus is around traditional healings and teachings and those cultural activities. But we see non-Native people come through the door as well, because we work with programs like Native Inc. that service people of all religions, races, and nationalities, and we are supportive of everyone that comes in.
Okay. Next question for Jazz. And with you as a care coordinator here at Native Inc., what would be like a role that you would play in the helping a person that come into Native Inc. and seeking resources or seeking help? What part would you play in the process?
So when we first get our clients, and that's either for Faith Recovery or Community Connect, we always have an intake process before that to find out what everybody's needs are. And then when I meet with my clients for the first time, I always tell them, you can tell me as much as you want to. You don't have to be completely transparent, but it helps to know, what their situations are. And there are certain situations for men and women where Amber would be a really great advocate for them. Even if I don't know too much, that's where I either introduce them to Amber or let them have that meeting so that they know that that's an option. Because I'm not a counselor. I have some lived experience, but I usually just sit and listen on that first meeting with clients.
Absolutely, I think that's great. That's kind of what we have peer support here too, and being an advocate, having peer support, being Community Connect, our roles are very similar in that we are just listening to people. We are trying to meet them where they're at, hear their needs, and go from there. What is the best course of action? How can we best help you in your situation? So we're really here to be a friend. It isn't about telling you what to do or what you can't do. If you are in an abusive situation, it takes the average person, I think the statistics are 7 to 10 times to leave a domestic violence situation, where a Native American male or female, it might take 14 to 21 times before you fully leave that situation. So in thinking of that, we're here, right, as a community, as a group, to support you at where you're at. We have no judgment on your situation. We really want to create the best safety plan that we possibly can for you, to keep you feeling like you're supported and connected to your community, and that you're not feeling judgment from us or anyone that you're going to come in contact here at Native Inc. or out in the community. Now, we can't stop everyone from having their opinions, but we do our best as advocates and peer support and community connect people.
Yeah, I think also too, like, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, even if they've left the relationship for years, no matter what that looks like. I know me personally as a care coordinator, I've been working with some people, you know, over a year or just about a year, and I didn't know about things that were going on until I introduced them to Amber. And because sometimes, well, majority of the time, people don't really want to talk about it. And but now I think it's great that we have you here, because now people have a different option as far as somewhere to open up to and someone to open up to. So
Absolutely.
it's super hard to ask for help. So.
And I think we've all been there, right? Where I know it's hard for me to ask for help too.
Yeah.
So we're all in that with you. You know, if you're out there and you're looking for support services for domestic violence, we want you to come in. We want to be there to support you, and you can share with us as little or as much as you want to. For our cultural activities, we try to be very open that you don't have to share very much with us, as long as we know that you're a survivor and you've been through something that you really want to work on your personal growth and healing. Come see us. Come to cultural activities. Again, those locations and dates and times are confidential, was the word I was looking for. So make sure you get a hold of us so we can get you signed up, because you need to be able to do that intake, so we can keep all our clients confidential and respect their privacy. So that's one of the things I think we all do here, is try to respect people's privacy.
I noticed that as a peer support specialist, our female, especially the female clients, we try to help them in situations where they're homeless. You know, they are seeking resources, and they have some barriers going on, and a lot of the barriers are mental and emotional, and due to trauma.
Yes.
And so I noticed that in your program, ever since you've been here, you've been working together with, like for example, Jazz. Jazz has her women's talking circle on Tuesdays, and then you have your domestic violence specific talking circle as well.
Yes.
And then you provide sweat lodge too,
Yes.
for clients that are that have experienced that in your program that you're helping and experienced sexual assault or domestic violence. And so is that kind of a part of the purpose, is provide some of those needs that are missing? Because I noticed that it's hard for a person, I think, to seek to get better, to seek housing, to seek a job and maintain when they have so much trauma, you know. And so I'm glad that you're here, because you can address that missing piece, you know, that we've had.
Absolutely.
And so is that like one of the main goals of the program too, to provide these things for the person?
Absolutely. So we're definitely talking about trauma, right? If you've been through, and again, we say 1 in 4 women has experienced sexual violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 6 men. But in Indian country, that number is significantly higher. So you're looking at 1 in 2 have experienced some sort of sexual violence. And sexual violence doesn't necessarily mean sexually assaulted. It can be sexual harassment, it can be unwanted touch, it can be unwanted talk. So those type of things that are going on are going to be traumatic for someone, which then you're carrying around that trauma and you're trying to figure out how to heal. So trauma can come out in all kinds of ways, right? We're talking about your education being affected. We're talking about your employment being affected. We're talking about your parenting style being affected. PTSD can show up in many different ways, and I am not a licensed counselor, but what we do is provide those services to make sure you're finding a counselor that can support you. We're making sure that we're having healing available to you through cultural activities, through cultural healing support groups. So those type of things are here at Native Inc. for you to come in and utilize when you're available. So we want to, it's not about necessarily, we all have trauma. You know, most human beings have gone through something at some point in their life, and we're not trying to pinpoint that trauma necessarily. What we're trying to do is help you bring out your indigenous resilience. And even if you're not indigenous, we still all have a little bit of indigenous resilience in us, right? We have our indigenous brothers and sisters, our allies, that we're also trying to support, and we want to make sure that you can smudge and pray with us too, or you can pray in your own way. We respect all culture here, and we want to give you the opportunity to heal and to teach us. A lot of times the stuff I'm learning it's not just about me teaching, it's about me learning from my clients and learning from the people in the community on how to better serve our clients, because we all talk about the trauma. We want to make sure we're bringing out that resiliency and that strength, and a lot of this is Native American philosophy that's been around for hundreds of years. So how do we bring back our tribal communities in a good way and bring back our strength? So one of the ways, you know, again, going back to the pants here is our the jeans. Part of that is our painting, being able to paint and express ourselves through art. It's a learning experience. Everybody wrote different things on these jeans. So we have people, we have silences. What is this one? We have silence. Silence is not consent. We had a gentleman come in and do that one. We have April is Sexual Assault Awareness. We have Native Inc. We believe you, because we're here to support you, and we want victims and survivors to know that we support them. However you dress, wherever you go, yes means yes and no means no. Ask for consent. Physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness. These ones I love. Just want to showcase these. So they're I am your daughter, sister, mother, and she wrote warrior down the side. So I mean, we just had some really creative women do some really amazing things. These were done by a gentleman also. 1 in 3 men experience violence. Stop sexual assault. So again, this stuff can all be part of domestic violence. Not everyone who experiences sexual assault is in a relationship. Some people experience sexual assault and they are just living their best life when it happens. You know, whether you're a child and it happened when you're young, or whether you're an adult and you think that you might know someone really well. And men are just as likely to get sexually assaulted. I mean, I don't know what your personal experiences have been here in this room, guys, but I think a lot of us have experienced at some point in time someone's unwanted handshake or a creepy hug or just that physical touch that we're like, hey, wait a minute, like, make sure we're asking for consent. I think it's super important that we want to drive that message home, and yeah.
Oh, thank you. There's sort of this effort, no matter what it is, whether it's a community's war on drugs or to lower crime in the community, but now we're talking about domestic violence and sexual assault. So we have like some goals to meet, right? So there's five things that we talked about earlier in regards to that. And can you speak on a little bit about that? Some of the goals of a program or a successful program for our clients, for our people, for our community, that can reduce or even stop sexual assaults, sexual violence, domestic violence. Can you talk about some of those efforts?
For sure. So, as a mother of 4 sons, specifically, I think that it's really important to educate our boys and our men, right? So our boys are going to be the future leaders in Indian country. They are growing up around strong, incredible women, right? We're doing the best we can to bring it back, and we're raising boys to be the voice of reason. Make sure that you are not just standing by and watching someone you love get hurt, right? Hashtag be a good relative is a philosophy in domestic violence and sexual assault in Indian country. So be that good relative. Make sure that you're standing up for not just your brothers and your sisters, but treating every victim and survivor that comes through your door like a good relative. How would I want to be treated? How would I want my mother to be treated? How would I want my daughter to be treated if she walked through the door? Would I want someone to greet her with some water and some coffee, a cup of tea? Just being that listening ear is one of the ways through our support groups. And Jazz, you have support groups. So are there some ways that in your support groups that you guys have ever talked about how you support other survivors or victims of assault?
Yeah, so for our Women's Talking Circle, which is tonight at 5:30 every Tuesday, we've been having this year, we have a topic each week. Last week our topic was mental illness, and I had the topic for tonight in my head, but I just lost it. But so each week we've had a topic, whether that be struggling with grief or addiction, like I said last week, mental illness, or codependency, stuff like that. But it's a confidential group for support that's just women, so everybody's free to talk, and it's really not easy to be vulnerable, especially if you have trust issues. Even if it's with women, a lot of times people have been hurt, and people that you thought were your good friends or family, you've been hurt by those people you thought were closest to you. But it's a safe group where we can talk and we can discuss different tips and tools, what worked for you. Maybe it'll work for me. Oh, I've never heard that way about how to deal with the time that I was assaulted or the time that I had trouble leaving that relationship. So it's just really just conversation of support, and I love going. I need it personally. I'm in recovery as well as having a history of this particular topic, so it's nice to be around women and just to know that you're not alone for that.
And so that right there is one of the ways that we're supporting survivors, right?
Yeah.
We're not making it a once and done type of conversation. It's an ongoing conversation here at Native Inc. Whether you need support through the domestic violence program, maybe you feel like I'm not quite ready to talk about that stuff just yet. And I just want to say that our domestic violence support group really isn't about sharing your story. Our domestic violence support group is more about us talking about domestic violence situations and how we can best support each other. Like Jazz is talking about, they have different topics each week. And so with that comes a lot of good conversation. You don't necessarily have to share your story, but just talking about the issues and how we can support people. So it's an ongoing way to stop sexual assault and to stop abuse, because we're getting it out there. We're saying, hey, these things happened. Trauma has happened. Generational and historical trauma has happened. So how are we going to bring Indigenous strength and resiliency forward? How can we continue to support our brothers and sisters, our children, and even our parents, right? Because a lot of them didn't grow up with the type of services that we are blessed to have today. We are grateful that Native Inc. was able to get these type of grants and this type of funding that we can really support our community and try to bring forward a different way of talking about these issues. So we're just encouraging you, if you have time, to come in and see us. We'd really love to hear from the community. Do we have any questions right now by chance? Just wanted to throw it out there. If you guys do want to ask us anything, we'll be live for a few more minutes here. Corey, are there some ways that you see supporting men that are survivors or victims of domestic violence or sexual assault?
First, what I'd like to comment on is that what I love about the programs that are happening and the programs that you guys are leading is the connected piece. Because I remember hearing something along the lines of, healing is more about connection than it is about anything. And so it gives people to come in and just be connected, if anything. They don't have to share their story. They don't have to have a story or a bad story as others. They can just come and be connected with each other. And then that's where the support system comes in. So our mindset of community comes into play. We don't have to go through it alone, so we're not alone. So I love that part of what you guys are doing for our people in this community here and elsewhere. Because it does affect others, just not the people that come, but their families too, and their children or grandchildren, depending on who comes, So, and I see that as a missing piece, and I'm glad you guys are connecting them with the higher power, with each other, because I think one thing that this breeds is guilt and shame. A person walks with guilt and shame, now they're secluded. They just take themselves out of the picture, out of the families, maybe that's why they don't go to work or don't like to be around people, but you give them a place to start to build. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing for our women in the community. For me, what I like to do for the men is I love working with Fatherhood is Sacred, because at least I can reach out to men and fill in some of the things that we're missing as men. and have a place where we can connect and where we can build from. Because even as a man, we don't know what it's like to be a good father, because maybe we haven't had one, or I had a good role model. So this is a place where men can come in however they are, where they're at in their life, and they're welcomed, and we can connect with each other. We have our moments of connection with our higher power, seeing the good in ourselves too. So it's not just like learning a program or going through a program. It's just kind of walking through something together and having a safe place to address some of our weaknesses too. Because a lot of men, we're real tough. We're real tough. We don't like to be weak and seem weak, or don't want anyone to see weakness in ourselves. But this is a place where we can put all that aside and be amongst each other and kind of learn or walk through a process together. So I'm not really a teacher of this. It's more like a facilitator. I'm just presenting something we can talk about and talk about our experiences. Everyone has something good to share. Everyone has a medicine. Everybody has. It's even a bad experience can teach you how something that you don't want to do, or can contribute to the group. And if anything, you're not alone. You're not alone. Some of our fathers are not in relationships with the mothers. So how do we treat that? How do we treat the mothers of our children? How do we treat the females in our communities? Because if we're going to be a strong person and a useful person to our communities, we have to be one to our families, and we have to be one to our children. And a part of that, we got to show that love and respect for their mothers, and their caretakers. So in a way, we kind of work hand in hand a little bit in some of our programs, and so we try our best at where we're at, but I do commend you guys for what you do for our women specifically. So.
Well, I just want to thank you, because I think you drove home the point, right? We're feeling empowered today because we're empowering other people. We want to empower our brothers and sisters and our children and parents to go out there and to feel like they can help someone else. It isn't about us being gatekeepers of the knowledge. We really want to give you the tools so you can go home and you can empower your family, so you can teach your children and they can teach their children, right? We're thinking that 7 generations forward. How can we make sure that our grandchildren are cared for and loved and supported? And we do that by breaking these generational and historical traumas and bringing back all this generational strength that we have together. It's a community effort. It isn't I'm doing it, it's we're doing it. And that goes for our entire team here at Native Inc. We have a team of people behind the scenes that you're probably not gonna see, but they're back there, they're writing the grants, they're working on the finances, they're helping people out right now doing community outreach and peer support and taking someone to court right now and being that advocate. And that's what we want to see in our community. It's about us having these empowering conversations. And so again, we're just grateful for you guys for joining in today. We only had a limited amount of time. I don't know what our time looks like right now, how long we've been going. So we've been going about 30 minutes. So were there any questions out there? Nothing? Okay, well, we just want to thank you guys again for joining us. We hope that we can get together again and make this a more regular thing, that you see us and we can have some good conversations. I want to make sure to remind you, May 6th, we'll be having a visual here for MMIW. It'll be 5:30 to 6:30, our regular schedule Mondays. So just come in and if you have time. Otherwise, we'll put something out there on Facebook for you guys. And then last disclaimer is just to remind you guys that this is a very hard topic. Sexual assault is not an easy topic, right? So make sure that you are, if you're home, if you don't have your smudge bowl nearby or your cedar, make sure you take some water and you pray with your water. You take some time to pray to God, to Jesus, to Gashula, to your higher power, to whatever makes you feel comfortable. But we just want to make sure that you are at home safe, and come in and see us when you get the chance, or come and make an appointment with any of us. You can call Native Inc. at any time, and we'd love to see you guys in person. So thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
you guys have anything else?
Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good idea.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Bye.